Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of ShowMeFootball.com and ArrowheadAddict.com, and I am not happy today. I'm not happy, one, because I have to make a video while I'm on vacation, and number two, because today's video is obviously about the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs have traded wide receiver Tyreek Hill. Now, I brought some of my travel recording equipment with me for the chance that I had to make a video because of something that happened in free agency or a trade or something like that. But, I mean, I did not expect this. I mean, if you had told me that Tyreek Hill would get traded this week, I mean, I would have called you crazy. But here we are. I mean, the Chiefs have traded Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill has been traded to the Miami Dolphins for a boatload of draft picks from the Dolphins. Here's the entire haul that the Chiefs got back for Tyreek Hill. They got a 2022 first-round pick, a 2022 second-round pick, a fourth-round pick, and fourth and sixth-round picks in 2023. Now, I'm making this video several hours after the trade, so a lot of you have probably, come to terms with it, and you go, well, it's not that bad. I mean, if this is what had to be done and they couldn't come to an agreement with Tyreek Hill, then that's fine. I'm on the opposite end still. I hate it. I hate the trade. I hate trading Tyreek Hill. I mean, I think this is a horrible trade. I know Tyreek Hill wanted a lot of money, and I know he was going to be expensive, but Tyreek Hill is just one of those players that no matter what it takes to keep him, you keep him because he is generational. He is by far the best receiver this franchise has ever had. He's one of, if not the best wide receiver in the entire NFL right now. There's just some players you don't trade, no matter what their demands might be. I mean, obviously, everyone has a limit, but it sounds like after the Davante Adams trade and the contract he got from the Raiders, Tyreek Hill was seeking out something similar. I think he's worth that. I would have just paid the dude what he's worth. I know the Chiefs have spent a lot of money over the past few years, and having another contract like that would have been a lot. But you find a way to make it work, because I know a lot of you guys who would come on my channel whenever I'm upset would say, it's okay, we got Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hill. Well, now you don't have Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hill. Now it's Mahomes and Kelsey. To me, Tyreek Hill is one of those players where you have to make it work. He's not available through trade. And today, the Chiefs made him available, and they traded him. And I think it was the wrong decision. Tyreek Hill even ended up getting around $25 million per year in his new contract extension. It wasn't even as much as Adams got. I mean, unless we're factoring in the funny money here, because honestly, I don't think Davante Adams' contract is truly $28 million per year. But neither is Tyreek Hill's. I mean, I would have done $25 million a year for Tyreek Hill. But the Chiefs didn't, and unfortunately, the Chiefs probably made this decision because, money was a factor. And unfortunately, this is what happens when you pay mediocre players like Frank Clark, the money that he got. It's what happens when you give a left guard and Joe Thuney left tackle money and make him the highest paid left guard in the game. It's what happens when you have to fill the need of left tackle and you trade assets to get Orlando Brown and have to sign him to a huge extension. It's just, that's the reality. I mean, the great Terez Paylor always said that one day the Chiefs are going to have to let go of a player they like because of the money that they spend, no matter how fake the cat may seem. Little did we know that player would be Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill was one of those players, he was one of the only players in the league that could truly take over a game on his own. A non-quarterback player that could take over the game, flip the game in the matter of seconds, and now the Chiefs don't have him anymore. They don't have him, and we all thought that the one thing they needed on offense was wide receiver 2. They got their wide receiver 2 finally in Juju, and now they're taking a step back and creating a need at wide receiver 1 when they had Tyreek Hill, the greatest weapon in the game. And you look around the division, you look around the conference, everyone has taken a huge step forward while the Chiefs are taking a huge step backwards. I mean, after this Tyreek Hill trade, it's crazy to think that the Chiefs are going to win the division or win the AFC. It's just, they got rid of Tyreek Hill. Their defense is considerably worse. Why would you pick them? And they didn't even make the Super Bowl last year, and the roster's worse. And I know a lot of you are probably saying, oh, well, they have the draft. Look at all these draft picks they have now. Guys, these draft picks are complete lottery tickets. You traded one of the greatest wide receivers ever that we've ever seen for lottery ticket draft picks that are not going to equal the impact of Tyreek Hill, and it's a crapshoot. It's pretty much a crapshoot. And these other teams in the division, that I mentioned, I mean, they get a draft too. I mean, they could draft studs that equally offset what you do. And it really sucks that this Tyreek Hill deal was done now because, yeah, it opens cap space, but there's no good free agents left to go out and use that cap space on. I mean, I take that back. I mean, like, there's good players out there, but there's not, all the great free agents, they've been picked up already. Like, you're looking at more of the bargain bin guys that are maybe older and looking for their last contract. It's just, now you don't, I mean, there's not much to spend the draft, or not the draft capital, the cap space on. I mean, there's just not much left out there. I mean, yeah, the draft picks are cool, but who cares? They're draft picks. I mean, with Veach's inconsistent draft history, I mean, you're assuming that the Chiefs, if they are to justify this deal, they have to hit on almost every single pick that they have in this draft, and that's just highly unlikely to me. I know Brett Veach had a great draft last time, but that it's unlikely that you have that twice in a row. Veach has still had a pretty sketchy draft history, and one of the only reasons we look at that draft so highly is because he lucked into Trey Smith in the 6th round, which is just not something that happens every single year. I don't like where we're at with the Chiefs because this kind of seems like a reset year, a rebuilding year. Some of you may disagree with that or think the term is a little bit harsh. That's what I'm looking at it as. I mean, I can't imagine how you can come to the conclusion that the Chiefs are doing anything more than treating this as a rebuilding year, because like I said, they've gotten worse on defense and they haven't made a ton of additions to make it better. And we knew the defense was something that Brett Veach said they were going to focus on. And now you have this huge need at wide receiver that you probably didn't anticipate when the offseason first began, and you're going to have to probably spend a draft pick on a wide receiver now. I mean, the pick that you got back from the Dolphins, that first rounder, which, by the way, was only the 29th pick. Whoop-de-doo, they got the 29th pick, one pick better than the first rounder they had. I would have liked a first-round pick a lot better than that for Tyreek Hill because, I mean, even by pick 29, like Garrett Wilson, Jamison Williams, those top receivers, those guys, they're going to be gone. I mean, pick 29, really? And I've seen some people say, oh, you could trade up. Well, you're not trading up without giving up probably both of your firsts or 2 firsts. And if you do that, you're putting 2 of your first rounders together to move up to draft a guy to fill your need at wide receiver with the pick that you got when you created the need for wide receiver. Like, does that make sense? Like, it's just bad resource management. Now, I'm not saying there can't be a good receiver still there at 29 or 30, but they're not going to be the impact of Tyreek Hill. And then you're banking on all these other draft picks that I assume will largely go towards the defense. You're going to assume that all of them just work out, and that's just not how the draft works. Like, not all the picks are going to hit. Not all the picks are going to be good players, and some of them are even going to take years to develop. And the Chiefs really aren't in a position where they can afford guys to take years to develop. Like, they need immediate contributors. Like, they're not in a position where they can draft a luxury guy that can develop behind some other players. Like, they need a cornerback, they need a defensive end, they need a third safety, they need a third linebacker. And it's just unreasonable to think that because they have all these draft picks that all of them are just going to work out and they're all going to fix the defense and fix the need at wide receiver now. I mean, this is going to have to be like an all-time historic franchise draft for the Chiefs to justify trading Hill and really justify relying this heavily on the draft, because that's what they're doing. I mean, there's not many great free agents left. They could trade for someone, I guess. Like, they could use some of these picks to trade for a contributor at a position of need, but again, bad resource management. Like, why are you trading Tyreek Hill and then trading for someone like, okay, I saw DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett getting floated out there. Why would you trade for one of them when you had Tyreek Hill and you're using the pick from your Tyreek Hill trade to trade for one of those guys, and they're going to cost a lot of money too? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, looking at this trade, yeah, the compensation that they actually got for Tyreek Hill was pretty good. Sure. But this draft leaves the Chiefs in a position where they're putting so much pressure on themselves to get this draft right. And I am not a fan of that. I'm just not a fan of relying on the draft. And the Chiefs look like they're going to be relying on the draft. They think they can get immediate contributors at a bunch of spots. And I don't trust Brett Veach to do that. I don't. I mean, I don't know how you could. Like, yeah, he had a really good draft this past year. But overall, his draft history is very inconsistent. He's made a lot of head-scratching picks. And I don't know how you can just assume that all these picks are going to work out and they're going to fill their needs. I mean, they have gaping holes all over this roster now. I mean, they need a pass rush. Brett Veach said he was going to fix the defensive line in the pass rush, and I was actually considering making a video on that sometime this week. But, I mean, right now, that doesn't even seem like the Chiefs' biggest concern. Right now, they need a wide receiver because their offense is now worse. I mean, their offense is worse as it stands. Their offense is worse than last year, and their defense is worse than last year. And we think the draft is just going to fix all that while the rest of the conference and the rest of the division is getting better and whoop-de-doo, everything is fine and dandy in Chiefs Kingdom. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. I think this is a terrible move for the Chiefs. I mean, you look at what happened this past season. They lost to the Bengals because the offense couldn't get anything together in the second half, and they relied on a defense that isn't meant to win them games. All they needed to do was get a wide receiver two and make minor upgrades to the defense through free agency and the draft. And to me, they totally overreacted to that. And this is like a soft rebuild. They're almost kind of blowing it up, and I think it's the wrong move. Like, you had Juju Smith-Schuster now. You had your wide receiver too. It was your only true need on offense. And you needed to make some improvements to the defense. You know, you let the edge market pass you by, and you signed Justin Reed to replace Tyrann Mathieu. I liked the signing, but you still needed more. You just needed to make a few more moves, but instead they completely overreact, and now they trade Tyreek Hill and force themselves to rely on this upcoming NFL draft to fill all these holes. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. To me, the Chiefs are not Super Bowl contenders this year. You have to look at this year as a soft reset, you know, a retooling year, a rebuilding year, however you want to define it, because they no longer have Tyreek Hill. That completely changes their offense. Tyreek Hill did so much for this team. He changed the way that defenses play them. I mean, teams were dropping so many guys back in coverage this year because they wanted to limit the big play from the Chiefs. And the Chiefs should have ran the ball more because of that. But, you know, they just refuse to do it, and they're never going to do it because that's not Andy Reid. I've seen some people say, well, maybe they can be more balanced or run the ball more. They're not going to do that. And even if they did, now that they don't have Tyreek Hill, teams can stack the box more easily. They're going to be more comfortable doing that. And the Chiefs already don't have a feared running game. So this trade is a disaster to me. I think this is a disastrous offseason. I mean, the Chiefs totally overreacted to the end of the season. They did. I mean, they needed a few minor improvements to this team, but otherwise they were still a Super Bowl contender, and I don't understand this at all. I don't. I'm going to need someone to really talk me into this one. I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel. I'm going to be interested to see what you guys say in the comments, because some of you guys on social media seem to have come to terms with this, and you think it's a good deal. I still think it's a horrible deal. I'm just kind of at a loss for words right now. Tyreek Hill was a great player. He's one of my favorite players. I mean, he's gone. He's gone. And what do you have now? Oh, draft picks. Cool. I'm sorry. Draft picks don't win championships. Like, I understand that draft picks can be used to get good players, but I mean, there's no guarantee these draft picks turn into anything, and you traded the greatest wide receiver in franchise history for them. I don't understand this move. I don't get it. I can't rationalize it. Maybe one of you guys can. We'll see. I don't know. It just pisses me off, because I think the Chiefs are throwing away something great, and they refuse to pay a guy what he was worth when he already took a discount the first time around in negotiations because of the off-field stuff that was going on. and now all he asked was to be paid what he was worth, and the Chiefs refused to do it. And now they're forcing themselves to be draft reliant and nail all these draft picks. Like, I'm sorry, I can't get over that. Like, that pisses me off. Like, you guys have no idea how much this strategy pisses me off of filling a bunch of holes in the draft for a team that is considering themselves a championship contender. You cannot reasonably ask a bunch of rookies to walk in here and be the difference. Like, it's just not reasonable. So that's pretty much all my thoughts, but I'll let you guys take it away in the comments. So for all of you that are still watching, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this, and make sure you check out my work on showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com, where I also wrote a little bit about this Tyreek Hill trade. But other than that, I will see you guys in the next one.